Born into privilege, Vincent Price's childhood was one of comfort and culture. At Yale, he pursued art, but it was in London where he discovered a passion that would define his life: acting. Years of relentless dedication transformed him into a legend of horror cinema, a figure whose presence on screen remains irreplaceable. Yet behind the fame and the elegance, his personal life was not without struggle. 3 marriages, 2 children, and later battles with emphysema and Parkinson's disease mark the man behind the mask. Still, Vincent Price was more than a master of the macabre. He was a champion of social causes, a lover of art, and an advocate for education, using his fame to inspire and uplift others. But the question remains, in the shadow of such a towering legacy, did his children find their own paths to flourish in the world of art, culture, and creativity? Let's explore. Vincent Barrett Price. Vincent Barrett, or V.B. Price, born on August 30th, 1940 in Los Angeles, is the only son of legendary actor Vincent Price and actress Edith Barrett. When his parents divorced in 1948, he was raised primarily by his mother. In 1958, he moved to New Mexico, a place whose landscapes and culture profoundly shaped his artistic and intellectual life. He attended the University of New Mexico, graduating in 1962 with a B.A. in anthropology, the same year he published his first poem. This marked the beginning of a long career as a poet, essayist, and journalist. Inspired by his early visits to Chaco Canyon, he later published Chaco Body in 1992 with photography by Kirk Giddings, one of many works blending New Mexico's cultural and environmental identity with his creative vision. Over the decades, he published numerous poetry collections including Orpheus the Healer, Lucretius and the Logic of Venus, Memoirs of the World in 10 Fragments, Innocence Regained, Christmas Poems, and Polishing the Mountain or Catching Balance Just in Time. His nonfiction work includes The Orphaned Land, New Mexico's Environment. Since the Manhattan Project, this was a critical study of the region's environmental challenges. Alongside his literary career, Price played a significant role as an editor and journalist. He worked with New Mexico Magazine, served as architecture editor of ArtSpace Magazine, and was a founding editor of Century Magazine for 3 years. And for decades, he was a columnist for the Albuquerque Tribune, 1978 to 2008, and an architecture critic for the Albuquerque Journal. He also co-founded the online journal New Mexico Mercury, where he continues to write the Mercury Messenger column focused on politics, culture, and environmental issues. His academic career was equally influential. Beginning in 1976, Price taught intermittently at the University of New Mexico's School of Architecture and Planning, and from 1986 to 2014, he was faculty in the UNM Honors College. He also served as series editor for the Mary Burritt Poetry Series at UNM Press. Price's contributions to poetry, cultural criticism, and environmental journalism earned him numerous awards. These include the Governor's Award for Historic Preservation, the ACLU of New Mexico First Amendment Award, the Humanist of the Year Award, the Bravo Award for Excellence in Literary Arts, the Erna S. Ferguson Alumni Award, and the New Mexico Literary Arts Gratitude Award. In 2016, he received both an Honorary Doctor of Letters from UNM and the Paul Bartlett Ray Peace Prize, the Lifetime Achievement. These honors reflect his lifelong dedication to preserving New Mexico's environment, heritage, and intellectual life. In his personal life, Price married Renee Price in 1969. Renee, an artist, collaborated with him by designing many of his book covers. Together, they had 2 sons, Jody and Keir, and 2 grandchildren, Ryan and Talia. Although less in the public eye than his famous father, V.B. Price has made appearances on programs such as KNME-TV's Colores, where he read from his works and shared his reflections on life, art, and the environment. Today, Vincent Barrett Price remains an influential voice in New Mexico's cultural landscape. While his father, Vincent Price, is remembered as a master of horror cinema, VB's life has been devoted to exploring the intersections of art, environment, history, and community. Mary Victoria Price. Born on April 27, 1962, in California, Mary Victoria Price is the daughter of actor Vincent Price and costume designer Mary Grant Price. Growing up in the creative energy of Hollywood and with a father celebrated for his commanding presence in film and theater, Victoria inherited not only an artistic sensibility, but also a sense of curiosity and storytelling that would guide her own life. Despite having an elder brother, she never had any influence from him in her life. From her earliest years, Victoria was immersed in art, design, and culture. She studied art history and theater at Williams College. This education gave her a foundation in both creative expression and critical thought. Her professional path has been wide-ranging. She became an author, interior designer, educator, public speaker, and later in life, an interfaith minister. Since her ordination in 2016, she has traveled widely, speaking on creativity, spirituality, wellness, and the enduring lessons of her father's legacy. She has taught at the University of New Mexico Highlands University, and co-founded the Philos School, an alternative humanities school in Santa Fe. In interior design, she established a reputation for blending the modern and historical, regional, and global to create spaces with character and soul. Victoria has also written several books. Her most famous work, Vincent Price, A Daughter's Biography, first published in 1999 and later revised, was crafted from an extraordinary archive. It has nearly 200 pages of recorded conversations with her father, his unfinished memoirs, correspondence, and accounts from colleagues and friends. What began as personal art-focused dialogues between father and daughter, recorded during his final years, became the foundation for a definitive portrait of Vincent Price, one that captured his public artistry as well as his private warmth. She later contributed the preface to the 50th anniversary edition of A Treasury of Great Recipes, the legendary cookbook authored by her parents, ensuring their culinary legacy remained vibrant. Beyond these tributes, Victoria has authored personal works such as The Way of Being Lost, A Road Trip to My Truest Self in 2018, a spiritual memoir, and Living Love, 12 heart-centered practices to transform your life in 2020. Both inspired by her blog, Daily Practice of Joy. She has continued to honor her father through essays, talks, and podcasts. On Medium, she published a reflective piece titled From Lost to Love, Lessons from My Dad on the 25th anniversary of his death, in which she distilled his lifelong philosophy that love is the answer to every prayer. On her own Living Love podcast, she dedicated an episode to his birthday, sharing 5 guiding principles from his life: to live with curiosity, expand through varied interests, nurture relationships, keep a childlike wonder, and say yes to opportunity. Her appearances on programs like Good Morning America, NPR's Fresh Air, BBC Radio 3, and at horror conventions such as Monsterama and CthulhuCon have all reinforced her role as both a guardian of her father's legacy and a storyteller in her own right. Despite her father's fame in the horror genre, Victoria admits she is not a horror fan herself. Fans often share stories of her kindness at screenings and conventions, where she signs memorabilia and answers questions with humility. One enduring image comes from a fan who collected postcards Vincent sent to Victoria between the 1960s and 1980s, each one filled with affection. Victoria, in turn, keeps alive these private glimpses of her father as a devoted parent who played pranks and filled their home with humor and tradition. Victoria has also often spoken openly about her personal journey. She came out as a lesbian in the 1990s and shared that her father was supportive, even confiding his own experiences of deep relationships with men. Vincent Price himself was an early public advocate for LGBTQ+ rights and an outspoken voice during the AIDS crisis. Today, Victoria Price stands as far more than the daughter of a film icon. She is an author, designer, teacher, spiritual guide, and storyteller whose life's work is bound together by a devotion to creativity and compassion. Through her books, essays, podcasts, and public appearances, she has built a bridge between the public image of Vincent Price, the horror master, and the private reality of a man of curiosity, joy, and love. In doing so, she ensures that his legacy endures not just on the silver screen, but in the hearts of those who seek wisdom, artistry, and humanity. Although Vincent Price's marriages did not last, his children were never deprived of love. He remained a devoted father, and both V.B. Price and Victoria Price went on to build their own unique paths and identities. In the end, that is the true mark of a good parent, supporting your children so they can flourish as themselves. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching.